here's our last video for now. We have created this class here, and we have made all the fields private. They cannot be accessed outside the class. In a non-member function, we can't call p1.age anymore. We can't call p1.firstname. We say that this class is encapsulated because all of the implementation details, all of these fields are now private. They can't be accessed from non-member functions. All of the things in the public interface, the things that we intend for users of the class to be able to use, print name and age, set name, set age, it's okay for them to use all these. Those things are all public. We've ensured that if the person uses them, it still maintains these values as we want them to be. We make sure that ages are positive. We make sure that the first and the last name are capitalized in the setAge and setName functions, respectively. And then this setName and age function called our setName and setAge functions. And so that makes sure that the names are capitalized and the age is always positive. So the class is encapsulated. We've protected it against misuse and made it simpler to use correctly by hiding these fields. As far as the user is concerned, they only need to know about these things, the public interface. The inner workings of the class, these implementation details, these fields are now private. Those are hidden to the user of the class. So let's go ahead and see what problem that causes. Let's say we wanted to create a function now that takes the average age of two people. So we can't access the age of a person outside the class at this point. Only inside the class can we do that. We can create a member function of the person class called, say, average age. It's probably going to be a double, even if the ages themselves are integers. We can put double average age. But inside here, yeah, we can access the age, but that's only of a single person. We could call that average age function on person p1 dot average age. But how do we get p2's average age inside this function? I could pass in another person, p2. Change this function to accept a person, p2. We're going to have to return the average age of these two people. It turns out that we can do this like so. Let's put a semicolon here. It's getting late, can you tell? The average age of a person is the age of, let's call this other person because it's not always p2. All right, I'm satisfied now. This function is now going to calculate the average age. So let's have a double average started at 0. We're going to take the average is defined as the sum of the two people's ages, the age of the person that we're calling this function on, plus the age of the other person. We're inside the class. This is a member function of the person class. So we can see age, which means the person who we're calling this function on. We're calling the function on this function on p1. p1 is the implicit parameter, as the book calls it. So we can see their age. We don't have to put p1.age because we're inside of p1's average age function, so we can see his field. We can also see other person's age. because we passed other person in as a parameter. So we can see other person, and we can see their age, it turns out, because we are inside a member function of the person class. If we had written other, p2.age, we can't see that outside because this is not a member function. But because we've marked this a member function of the person class, we can even see the ages of other people. So we can take the sum of those two and divide by 2, and then we can return average. And we can see out the average age of P1 and P2 is P1.average age with P2. Let's see what's wrong here. Too many arguments in function call. Average age. I need to change the prototype. I've included a prototype for average age which takes in no arguments. I have to say it takes in a person. Alright, so this should work. The average age of P1 and P2, that is Mark and Eduardo, is 32. We messed up, I didn't put an endl. Let's do that. But this is a little bit confusing, I think. I don't really want to create a function that's a member function actually in this case, even though we're working with the person class. Maybe we don't want a member function. It might make more sense to call this function the average age of person 1 and person 2 instead of calling the member function of P1 their age averaged with another person. It's all a matter of how you want to think of things, and you'll see examples in the homework as the class goes on of seeing it different ways. But let's say that we wanted to call this and provide 2 arguments, P1 and P2, and calculate the average age of them. I think when we get to vectors, which are kind of like lists of a lot of different people, or a lot of different objects, you'll see that we might want to provide a list of a bunch of different people and provide the average age of all those people instead of calling the function on one of those people, calling P1's average age function and providing a list of all the other people. That doesn't quite make as much sense as just providing a list that contains everyone and taking the average. So let's write the function this way. We're going to take in 2 arguments, P1 and P2. So we're going to have person P1 and a person P2. We could call them X and Y up here, right? They don't have to be the same name. And this is going to be a non-member function. We're going to take in, instead of relying on the implicit parameter and an explicit parameter, we're going to pass in 2 parameters explicitly into this function. So we can't see age anymore because this is not a member function of the person class. We're going to have to say we want X's age and we want Y's age separately. But we can't do that. We're in a non-member function. This is not part of the person class, so we're not allowed to see age. This means we're going to need to provide another function in the public interface that's a getter or an accessor function. Let's define this. It's going to do one thing. It's just going to return an integer that's the person's age. We're going to call it something descriptive like getAge. See, we set the age and we can get the age. Setters often take in an argument and return nothing. Getters often take in nothing. We don't need to take in anything to get the person's age because this is a member function. It's going to be, and it's going to return an integer, the person's age. So let's implement that. Int getAge takes in no arguments, and all it does is return the age of the person. We're going to make it a member function of the person class so it has access to that field. So so age is still protected. It's still down here in a non-member function. Now we can call getAge, right? p1.getAge. That's going to return it. We can print it out to the console. Whatever it returns. But we can't change it. Right? We can't call p1.getAge gets -10 if we wanted to change it to a negative number. That doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense. This evaluates to a number. We're saying that number is -10. No, this doesn't give us the variable inside of the person class. This doesn't give us access directly to that field. This is not the variable, the age of P1. This is just the value that's stored in that variable is what it evaluates to. So that's not going to work. We've still protected the age from being set to negative through this setAge function, but we can now read the age. It's kind of like we don't have write access to age from outside the person class, but we can read what the age is now. So now in here, we can say we're going to want to use that getAge member function of the person class. So let's use X's getAge member function, and we'll use Y's getAge member function. And we'll use those two things to calculate the average age of those people. Let's see if it works. The average age of P1 and P2. It's 32. All right. That's it for now. There's a little bit more information that's contained in your book, but if you've understood what's going on in these series of videos so far, you'll be totally fine for the midterm as far as classes are concerned. That's all that you need to know.